day 2 of legs today. We're gonna do some heaviest front squats. We'll do some RDLs and some of the other accessories I like doing for my second leg day of the week. Um, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Looking forward to it. I like doing legs, and yeah, let's get after it.
All right, here we are. Week one, day two legs. Starting off with bird dogs. Do 10 of these on each side. Do them nice and slow and controlled to focus on opening up the hips and getting the glutes and hamstrings nice and lubricated and ready for getting these heavy squats in. After that, bird dogs on each side. I will do 10 on each side of what I call donkey kicks. I use that as more of a hip flexor warm up, really making sure that the front part of the hips and upper quads are ready to get deep into my squats once I get some heavier loads on me. So again, I'm doing these nice and controlled, keeping my legs at a 90-degree angle. When I do these, I do feel a pretty good squeeze in the glute as well as with the bird dogs. So between these two movements, it really helps be able to help. It helps me get my depth on my squats, which is what I really I pride myself on. Of I'm a pretty deep squatter, even though I'm not even necessarily the strongest. So after that, I go to glute bridges. On my first heavy day of both pulling and squatting, I do single legs, and then on my second day, I'll just up the reps and do uh, double legs. So I went for 15 reps here. This is just to help get the lower back ready for what I'm about to put it through. Not that I necessarily have any sort of back issues, but just helps get everything nice and loosey goosey. My last movement is these hamstring squats. So this is just I like doing these just because it helps me assure that I'm getting down into that deep squat and that full range of motion, making sure that everything's primed. Um, if I do feel any sort of stiffness or achy anywhere while doing these, then I know I need to do a little more extra work in that specific location. But overall, I do 2 rounds of this, and then I go on to the empty barbell move. So from here, an empty barbell, I'll kind of just work on some movements that, how do I want to say this? So like the quads, for example, are a big factor in squatting. So here I'm doing 10 lunges on each leg to get the quads and the knees ready to go. And then I'll do good mornings. And after I do 10 good mornings, I do 10 empty barbell squats. So all in all, I'm hitting every point of a squat in a sense. So like the lunges are hitting the quads, the good mornings are hitting the hamstrings, lower back, and then the squats, the empty barbell squats are obviously hitting the whole thing. So as a whole package, everything is warmed up and ready to go. From there, then I will slowly start adding weight. So today I was focusing on front squats. So the empty barbell was going to be in the front rack position, whereas on leg day number one, it would have been with the back rack position since on day one I back squat and day two and then I front squat obviously. So this is just what I use as a warm up, and I only do the barbell segment, the empty barbell segment as 1 round. It's really more of a okay, let's just see how this feels and get ready to add weight and get my mind ready for putting weight on the bar. So then my first weight, I usually jump to 135. My legs are I consider pretty strong, so both on front and back squat. So I usually use 135 as a first set of five of warm up. Um, it's just enough weight that if anything does feel achy, then I'll know. So then now we are on to my first round of front squats at 225. I was shooting to get 3 sets, 4 sets if it was feeling really good, of 6 to 8 reps. And I ended up getting pretty close to failure on every set. Um, Still staying in that 6 to 8 range. And I think I ended up doing, let me look back here, I have it wrote down 7, 6, and 5. So obviously that last round, I got below my goal of 6 to 8 reps, but if it's only one, I'm happy with that. It's just um, some reason that this day when I was doing my front squats, it wasn't my wrists weren't. I don't know if I didn't take the time to warm up my wrists and get them uh, mobile enough for it, but I could definitely tell it was hindering my front squatting ability. So with that being noted, then I'll just take a little extra time on my warm up to stretch out the wrists and get them ready. Um, but I'm happy with how the 3 sets went. I was getting pretty close to failure on all of them, and you'll see that on my third round I actually did end up failing after the 5th rep. So even though I didn't get the 6 reps at the least, I went to failure. So I'm happy with that. There's failure. Sometimes you'll have that. Along with day one, after a heavy squatting movement, I like to do a hamstring movement, some sort of hinging pattern. So on day one, as you've seen, I do deficit straight leg deadlifts, whereas on day two, I do RDLs, just to change it up a little bit, get different stimulus. You'll notice that I am standing on a bumper plate. I decided to do that just because when I do my normal RDLs, I tend to go low enough that I'm touching the floor with the plates. So that kind of takes the tension out of the hamstrings. So this way I can still get that RDL depth, but keep this uh, tension in the hamstrings. So I ended up doing 7, 8, 7 on these sets. Um, I could have got 8 on the first one, but I ended up losing my grip. So after I had chalked up, then I got the full 8 reps. But then by the third round, my grip was a little fatigued by that point. So happy with the 7, 8, 7. For isolation movements on my day two, I usually stick to lunges and then good mornings. I was at a different station this today, so I was also kind of limited with what I could do. So like day one, you saw that I do Bulgarians and single leg hamstring curls. I have wrote down in my program if I can do it to do lunges and single-legged seated hamstring curls on this day. But since I didn't have access to do that, I just decided to do good mornings. So I was doing on both lunges and the good mornings 2 sets of 6 to 12 reps, and I ended up doing 2 sets of 12 on both sets on both lunges and the good mornings. I used 135, and I could tell that it was the right weight. Because on these I want to stay in a slightly higher rep range to get more hypertrophy focus. Um, but I have noticed that even though I do my cardio and conditioning, that my lungs get burning after 8, 10 reps on each leg, which, as you know, is a lot of reps total. So, uh, yeah. Now this should be my second set of lunges. Yep. So I'm happy. Overall, I'm happy with how this workout turned out on this day. I'd picked up an overtime shift, so I was at not my normal station. And then we had softball practice for our fire department softball team earlier that day in the heat, and it was hot. I mean, it was probably about 92 degrees outside, then on a turf field at a baseball stadium, it makes it even hotter. So this was all after that practice, and I'm happy with how it went. So next week I will definitely add some weight on everything. I'll probably end up sticking with 225 on the front squats again just to see if I can get some more quality reps, maybe even an additional set of 6 to 8. But on the other accessories, I'm definitely going to add some weight. So I might go like 250 on the RDL and maybe 155 on both the lunges and lunges and good mornings. And then maybe 185-ish on the standing calf raises that I do at the very end. But we'll see. We'll see how day one legs goes next week first. So now we're on to the good mornings. Um, my hamstring development and lower back, well, really more on my posterior chain, I should say, is really starting to improve. My strength, I'm really starting to see the strength numbers go up, and just overall quality of lifts going up. I would have never thought that when you strengthen your posterior chain, focus on it the way I have here in the last year or so, that it would improve almost everything. But I am surprised. Like my squat numbers are going up, and I'm hitting numbers easier than I have in previous years. Uh, Deadlift obviously is going up very well too, very very smooth. Um, so I'm pretty excited to see where I'm going to be by the end of this year. My deadlift has come a pretty long way. So I used to what my CrossFit coach calls a squat deadlift, because I would literally use all of my legs to pick up a weight, and now I've learned and adapted to load most of the weight on my posterior chain, so I'm pulling more than I did before and pulling it better. Having a lot less. I used to have some lower back pain, and I think it's probably just from the way I was deadlifting for years. And I just quality of life, I feel a lot better. So I'm excited to say the least. So I believe this is my last set of good mornings, and starting to slow down by the last, I don't know, probably four reps or so, and you can definitely see my fatigue starting to creep in. Okay, so that was the first round. This is the second set. I think next week I might try to do 4 sets on the two big lifts, which would be the front squats and the RDLs, and then 3 sets on the lunges and the good mornings. Like I said, we'll see how day one feels. So here I am. I'm on my calf raises now. So on day one, I like to do seated calf raises to really help get that range of motion. And then on day two, I will do standing just from a flat regular surface like you'll see here. But the first set I will do with like my feet closer together. And then my second set I'll do with a wider stance, which I can't really tell from here, but I'm outside shoulder width at this point. Just figured that I would change it up and try to hit different parts of the calf. I'm really wanting to hit calf raises twice a week, and not only just to grow my calf muscles, because everyone knows how hard those are to grow, but I've had ankle issues and they seem to help me with my ankle stability. So hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. Thank you.
All right, just finished day two, and went all right, I'd say. I ended up only doing 3 sets on heavy front squats, whereas I was shooting for 4 sets, but you win some, you lose some. Uh, Everything else went pretty good. Got a good workout in, got in there, and can't ask for anything more. So, see y'all tomorrow.